here. Share the purchase.
All right, let's officially start the meeting for November 8th at 4:04. We have at the moment two missing commissioners who are expected to arrive, John and Ken. We have a lot to cover, and some of it, much to a lot of surprises, we not on the agenda. How'd that happen? But let's go to the minutes that were distributed. If you have had a chance to look at them, do that if you could, and if not, take a moment to do that. And then I would ask, are there any omissions or corrections that we should be making to the minutes?
I will move to adopt.
Hearing none, and we have a motion to adopt. Do I have a second? All in favor of accepting as presented? Ayes, unanimous, and that's done. Thank you. Yeah. Chief Senate, do you have and the person to whom that would go here?
Commissioner Johnson is not here, so.
Not here, okay, so I postpone that for a moment. Foundation update.
The foundation, the Centerville Fire Foundation regretfully has had to postpone the crab feed, if you weren't aware, due to the fact that they could not get the crab due to the whales, so the whales prevailed. And it's been postponed until January 13th. There are still 50 tickets available to be purchased. Hopefully, the people that have already purchased will not request a refund. We're right now, I would call it at break even on the crab feed. We definitely want it to be profitable for the fire foundation, in which case it becomes profitable for the fire department. So if you know anyone that didn't get tickets yet, or someone that you thought about offering to go to the crab feed, there are still tickets available, and the easiest way to do it is to purchase online, and then you'll be notified and you tell the administrator who your guest names are. So again, we got a reprieve in one sense that it's an opportunity to sell more tickets, but a disappointment in that the event didn't go off.
Did anybody actually show up?
Not
On
to my
Saturday?
knowledge.
Okay, because it was like, I couldn't stop all of the calendar listings and there were a lot of them.
I know, I
That
was
was very
worried about
good.
how they were gonna contact everyone to notify them that it was canceled. I don't know.
Yeah, I know Len sent out personal notes to everybody, like I got one.
Yeah, but
to
how would you have
everybody.
everyone that purchased a ticket, how would you have their email?
Through the online purchase.
So that
process.
hopefully everybody read their email and nobody showed up. Let's hope.
Okay,
didn't hear of anybody showing up.
Oh, good.
and how secure are they on that date? Because I'll go back and update all those calendars. I just
Who
need
knows?
Len, I asked Len to
Who
read
knows?
the flyer. Okay, well,
And the
then we don't want to
crowds.
update the calendars until,
I would go to
We
Len
know
with
for
that
sure.
question.
yeah, it's already out there.
Yeah. Hard to know if we're gonna really have that on the 13th.
Yeah,
Get right.
How the whales just come out further into the ocean.
Did you get the earlier email about California Fish and Game extending or extending the closure of the crab season that I have emailed you? Did you?
Yes, I
receive?
did.
Okay, that was the first clue that things might be hazy. I was just wondering if it was even discussed by the foundation.
They are meeting next Friday.
Any questions from the table for the foundation? No, thank you. Number 5 is called Current Media, and that's a sort of a great title that covers items that were presented to us. One being the electric car fire and the benign hurricane season. And I am not clear on who asked those to be posted. on
I
the
sent
agenda?
Bill a car fire one. Yeah,
You did,
the
okay.
EV.
Commissioner
Yeah.
Johnson.
I know we've talked about this before. I think Larry might have brought it up a couple of years ago. If you guys remember, but it was really interesting because, you know, there's so many more EVs on the road now and especially in Marin County, right? And I think the premise, I don't know, I read this a long time ago, but I think the premise of the article was they have to like burn themselves out. Like you can't really extinguish them the way that you can a normal fire. And so just, you know, added responsibility for first responders to these types of incidents, which are relatively new, although EVs have been around and we're in for a while, but I just thought it was interesting. I'm not sure, did you guys get a chance to review the?
I skimmed it, but I didn't read it.
Yeah, here it is.
Let me ask you, Captain Burke, are there special protocols for
Yeah.
putting out EV fires?
Yeah, it's definitely a concern for sure. I think just knowing that it's gonna take a lot of water and typically the water's not putting it out because they'll just continue to burn. I think, we don't have anything special, like special tools or anything, that we have at this point. I have heard of like, there's like things out there where they have like, you know, like, I think they're looking at like blankets and things like, kind of smother them. But it's a hot topic throughout the fire service right now in general, because there's many agencies that are having trouble with them. We haven't had too many, knock on wood, but it's definitely a known hazard for sure.
Yeah, they had a fire in San Jose a couple of years ago. The fire was put out on the freeway, Decided to steep up road. They stepped back from it for a while, it reignited,
Mhm.
they put it back out. Put it on a flatbed, took it off to a storage yard, it ignited again in the storage yard.
Yeah.
I guess the chemical reaction.
Yeah.
is really occurring.
So it's like never ending until it's a pile of ash, you know, like that. All right, thank you. Hurricane season, what do I think that might have come from Ken?
It was.
Okay. I hope they are both well and we're going, here we go. We'll get. Thanks.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Just in time for your report.
Right, so you get to, now that you're here and chasing through all the formalities, we were talking about, or we're going to talk about the benign hurricane season. And you asked that it be presented and it's yours to speak to.
Yeah, great. Thought I made it. So yeah, I try to throw out things about the insurance industry and how it's affected by the fire service and what the fire service is doing. And this is a good example. There were some numbers, graphics numbers that didn't really come across in here that showed a decrease, well, actually an increase in billion-dollar events. So we did have the largest number of billion-dollar events in the world. In the past 20 years, we had $31 billion events for catastrophic losses around the globe. But overall, you've seen a big increase. We had a very light year for hurricanes, and you had a very light year for wildfires globally. And so that's lessened the impact on reinsurance, and it's lightening up. So of one account I have in particular, last year you saw it's $1.5 billion in insurance they buy. Last year you saw an average rate increase around 35%. And this year, you're seeing a rate increase of about 15%. So it's going in the right direction. I always told you guys that it was gonna, once the price got up there, you'd see people come back into the market. So it's slowly getting better than it was. And you'll still see the press say, this is a catastrophe, things are getting worse. They don't realize they're not on the cutting edge. You guys are on the cutting edge, that the market is starting to just slightly like peak and get a little bit better. And then so bring that down to what's going on here in the fire service. And I always mention to you, if you take a FireWise map from 2020 and you overlay it 2021 and 22, you'll see that the brush scores that San Rafael has have significantly gotten better. And it's the work from all, your work and the Firewise community that is really paying off. So when they start opening up the market and they go, hey, for these communities, we think that we'll go back into them. This is the type of communities they're gonna start looking at. They're gonna go, oh, that's a winner. Let's go there. So that's my report.
A question about fire insurance rates. They change, but the change is like turning an aircraft carrier around, right? They're just very slow.
No, it can be pretty quick. It's all about. So if you have an insurance company like a Travelers or a Hartford, right? And they share in their layers. So if they have a risk that's like, you give them a risk that's $450 million in property values, they're not gonna take that whole risk. They're gonna say, we'll take 100 million and then we're gonna lay the rest off to reinsurers. And when those reinsurer guys scrunch down, those rates go up like overnight. You can see them go up. And we've watched it. We've watched it.
As you,
But it is, the efforts are slow
sure,
to make it, to kind of get it back in line, but, San Rafael is a great example.
okay.
Yeah, and we need to credit Quinn Gardner and her team for all the amazing work they've done with reducing the risk of wildfire in our community.
Yes, her crowd's amazing. And so is she. Any other questions for Ken?
No.
Okay. Now, you missed the comment earlier, right by your left hand. There are 20 sheets. You can see all of the names of all of us. If you'll grab a pen, which is just sent your way, then there, just sign your name or initials or have anywhere you want in the neighborhood of your name. And thank you for that. Well, let's see, that is the current media material for today. There was an item that I wanted to address. And I'm gonna put it on the table just so that you'll know it's out there. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it today. We can hold it for down the road. And that is, and this is without my doing any investigation at all, which is to say, I have not spoken to the fire department about this. I have not spoken to the building department about this or any other entity in the city. It's just came out of, well, as my wife would say, the hollow area. So my comment is, should we take a look at Falkirk Mansion and see just how fire safe it really is? It's the showcase for the city. Private events take place there, public events take place there. Is it really ready? One thing that doesn't exactly fit into the fire safe concept, but sure as hell falls into the Falkirk concept is lighting. There was an event not too long ago, we were all at it. And one of the commissioners had some difficulty, one, finding a place to park in the dark, two, transitioning from the parking space to the building in the dark. Hello,
Fair point.
public facility?
Add to that, if you have a cocktail and then you gotta go out in the dark,
I mean,
I will never go to Falkirk again for an event like that
I
ever.
got it.
It was that
It strikes me that the liability is
huge,
massive,
huge.
just
Huge.
massive. Hello.
I would not
Public
think that a
egress.
fire issue though. That's more of a public works,
Okay, fine.
city admin,
All right, well.
There's a liability issue, yeah.
right, for the city, right?
Yeah. We go there, we use the building. Is it everything it could or should be? So, not that we're gonna solve that problem today, and I don't really wanna dwell on it, but I wanna throw it out into the table, let you think about it. And we'll come back to it at a different time. In the meantime, during the month of, well, not much of December in my world left because I'm going to the East Coast, but beginning of January for our next meeting, I will at least to go and talk to the manager of the building and get a sketch of how they see themselves. Because unless, he said, looking at Chief Zenit,
Yeah, I'd rather shift that over to staff if you don't mind.
sure,
I can advise you that the building obviously is extremely old. It does not have a fire sprinkler system, does not have a robust fire alarm system. It lacks many of the safety features that you would find in a modern building. The building does fall under the jurisdiction of the Parks, Recreation, and Library Division. I'd be happy to talk to somebody about the two concerns you brought up.
Yeah.
I can say that the building gets inspected annually by the Fire Prevention Division. So as much as we can enforce, we do,
all right.
but those
Okay.
fire protection systems are absent. The building, obviously, wood frame, balloon frame construction, high fire risk. We just hope everybody can get out in time, but the building, it would be difficult to probably control the fire if it got going, if it was unnoticed, like middle of the night. Unfortunately, there's not a great deal of exposure around it. It's not gonna take other buildings with it if it does catch fire and unfortunately burn to the ground, but, it's definitely a high-risk building and it does get an inspection annually. But let me talk to staff about the two issues that you've raised at this meeting, which are outside of our scope, but definitely fall within Public Works
But
and the Library and Recreation Department.
Chief Senate, I did send a letter to my city council member, letting her know that I was very disappointed in the situation. And as your fire commissioner, I feel that we should be in protest, and why are we even holding it there? My suggestion to her was, we've got a beautiful $36 million building with an awesome lobby. Why not bring people here? Why not? Or if you don't want to do it at PSC, why not hold it at City Hall? But I just cannot fathom why they're using such an unsafe situation to invite us there. Like I said, I will never go again. I feel very strongly about the fact.
So it's the recent boards and commissions meeting, is that what you're?
No, it was the thank you for being a volunteer.
all the boards, commissions and
That's
committees.
right. That was last week or?
Yeah.
Recently?
We've got a
That-
gorgeous building here. Why aren't we showing it off?
All right,
It rocks.
Thank you.
Isn't it a kind of, because it's not habitat, isn't it kind of an attractive nuisance for homeless as well? I see a lot of fires as a
You
result
think?
of homeless.
Well, I think the
patrol.
police rangers do a
Oh, it
pretty
is?
good job of keeping people off of city property. There has been hillside encampments just above it and above the Elks Lodge. They do a great deal of enforcement now to restrict and prohibit any type of encampments in those areas, in any of the hillside areas, actually. So that's why we're seeing more encampments downtown, the Mahone Park issue, the Lindera Way, Anderson Drive. So,
Camp
so
Anderson.
they moved out of the hillside areas and come down into the local.
Thank you. I'll pull this part of the discussion to a close and we'll get back to it down the road. And thank you, Chief Senate, for carrying it on in the system, as it were. One thing that we do need to discuss came up with a string of emails discussing Christmas gifts, for lack of a better name, to our 6+1 stations. The history behind this briefly is that for years and years, Steve Mizrak and Larry Luckham, basically on their own, went out and purchased mostly food items, but other stuff that was appropriate for the stations and delivered them in the holiday season in the name of the commission. but it was not an official function of the commission. At the moment, we're not really set up to do it, but at the same time, that doesn't stop us from doing anything. So we have 6 stations. We also have Marinwood. And so for sake of the argument, we're talking 7. The question is, what ought we do? What has the history been? You know much, I would think. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Let me piggyback on that. So Dr. Mizrock and Larry did this for years. They would go to Costco, buy a bunch of stuff, give bags to each house, and they did it. It wasn't an official fire commission function, but it was kind of an individual gift from each of us. And so then they'd ask if anyone wanted to contribute money, and give it to Larry or Steve, and they would put it in the pot and use it to buy the goods. If no one did, then no one did. That was fine. So I always contributed. I don't know if others did.
I did
Yeah,
too.
so people contributed and they kind of took the lead on it. They both retired out of the commission. So I thought, that's a great tradition to keep going. So we should do that. So I sent around an email to you all, and I want to ask you two this question in a second. So the idea was the gift bags with either colanders and Tupperware or some coffee or something. And then John had responded back unofficially, because we're just friends and we're chatting.
Right.
That at least in San Francisco, they would do gift cards for the firefighters on duty on Christmas Day.
Right.
To have a nice Christmas dinner. I've talked with David, I've talked with Donna, I've talked with Ken. I haven't run into you yet, Brian, but love to hear from you too. So one of the issues is, I'm willing to take the lead on it. That's not a problem. Do you
Sure.
two, would you prefer a gift card that you can go to Safeway and buy stuff to make yourselves a nice dinner? Or would you prefer a bag of coffee and ketchup and mustard and Tupperware? And we've gone round and round and we don't know the answer. Other than Larry said, don't buy them candy. 'Cause they're all pretty healthy and they don't eat candy. So any input you or you, Bob, have would be great.
I think, much appreciated, not necessary at all.
No,
If you were to ask me, what would most crews like the best, I think a gift card.
gift card.
To like go to Safeway or United or whatever, and like you said, buy some food on the holidays for the crew dinner. It's probably,
Okay.
but not necessary, but very much appreciated.
Thank you. So my understanding, Donna can speak for herself. She's already gone to Terra Linda, we're going to Terra Linda. Ken and I, she's already got gift bags. Ken and I have already put some money in a pot. We could cover 52, which also includes 54, right?
Per needs.
So that would be 2 weeks, if you don't mind. You and I can do that one. Then that would leave 55 and 57
I'll take 55.
and 51.
Yeah.
Right, so 55.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
So we need someone to cover 57 or 51, and I can do those as well.
Whatever. I'll do anything from half a house. Doesn't matter. I live 55, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay. So the thinking was we divvy them up, and Brian, I don't know which one you would want to do, but we'd like get $100 gift card from their local supermarket and just coordinate it, take it in the week before Christmas and just say thank you. That was our thinking. So if you have thoughts,
So I have a comment to make.
please.
I made sure to buy enough that 3 shifts would get goodies rather than just the people on Christmas Day. I kind of have an issue with, hey, how come the guys that have to work on Christmas Day are the only ones that prosper from our gift? It's just me thought provoking. So I like the idea of, okay, you give $100, but correct me if I'm wrong, I think it should go to all 3 shifts.
Typically what happens is that like, when I was at 55 the last year, the Andes would give us a gift card. And it was, I forget how much it was, but we just split it in thirds. And so each shift
So they all do.
got X amount of money to spend. And it was policed by like, not police, but the captains were in charge, like, hey, your shift gets $60, your shift gets $60, you get $60. So it wasn't like, you don't need 3,
Right.
it's handled in-house.
Right,
Like,
right.
Versus taking the one gift card and buying the ketchup, the mustard, the napkins, all the stuff you had in your pantry.
Yeah, so
That you all 3 use.
yeah, so that comes out of a condiment fund that we all pay into, like house dues. But yeah, like in terms of gift cards, typically, well, the shifts at the station will split them. Depending on how it is, or sometimes honestly, the shifts that don't work Christmas will just say, hey, you guys have it, for Christmas, and then it is what it is. But it's not like people are taking them, and be like, oh, this is ours.
It's all
it's
mine.
ours.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not how, that's not how.
That's actually happened. The chief, when I went down to Terrell in the firehouse, told me he was gonna put it all in his locker.
I ended up working 6 Christmases in a row, so it was fine. I mean, we just had a nice meal, right?
Yeah.
Someone gives us, house usually pays for it for Christmas dinner, Christmas Eve for you guys? No.
But we get a lot of,
Presents.
yeah, like people drop off cookies and all sorts of different stuff, and then typically the families will come by and the families end up throwing in a bunch of money too, and so, yeah, we try to do something like special on Christmas. Like a prime rib or like steaks or.
Ryan, did you ever run into this? That happened? Was it happening?
No, back in the old days, it was a few of the local business people who could buy, get baskets. Yeah. It would be, the shift that was coming on third, we get all kinds of stuff.
Right.
But that was as far as. And then they, unfortunately, back off. Stop.
Then I got it, okay.
But I'm happy to go to Costco, and I'm happy to do all this.
Gift
But
cards a lot
is a lot
easier.
easier, was my thinking.
I did the Costco run.
You did one
Okay,
already.
let me summarize what I think I'm hearing. One, cards, that wins out, that makes a hell of a lot of sense in my world. Two, you can be, or were you willing to be the center point on this?
Yeah.
Okay. Three, it's voluntary participation, but,
Yes.
you know, whatever happens, and I talk to you later directly. And is there anything else
We have four.
for?
Do we want to divvy up the firehouses and have a commissioner go to a firehouse? Like Don already went to,
Understood.
which numbers, 50?
I went to 56 in Marinwood.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm happy to go to all of them or none of them?
Sure. No, I
Whatever you
got
guys
it.
wanna do.
I got it.
Yeah, I'm happy to go to 55.
So then I'll just delegate to you,
Yeah.
get a gift card for Andy's or something.
Yeah.
And then for 55, John, if you want to do 51,
Sure, where,
same kind of
First thing
same
under
way or.
us.
what's left? 52,
Well, if
and
you buy your own, or do you want me to buy the cars? I'm
No,
happy
no,
to drive around and buy the cars.
Yeah.
too.
right now, 52 and 54 together, right?
Correct.
So Ken and I, well, you want to cover that?
Yeah.
So Ken and I will cover 52/54, and we'll just meet there one afternoon or something. Give them a card.
What's the missing number then?
And then we're missing 57,
57 out of Civic Center?
right?
I'll think.
You want to take that one? And then, if we forgot any,
What about this firehouse?
I think John's gonna handle this one.
Just a FYI, right? You agree? Earlier is better because Christmas Day, like, we usually plan our meal about a week ahead.
Right, no, I was thinking
yeah,
we would do
no,
this
no,
next week.
Yeah, yeah.
Early
Earlier
next
is
week.
better.
I'll take care of mine next week because I leave next week for the East Coast.
So to recap, 51. There's a 52. Is there a 53?
52 is 52 and 54.
54,
They used to be.
57, 55,
56.
56 in Marinwood. You want to jump in on any of these or we can handle it for you?
Well, 51 are my boys, so.
All right, so why don't you and John coordinate?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Sure. We have not said anything about 58, which is Marin.
We already did
She
it.
already did it.
We did it, hell, never.
So, yeah, so maybe Brian and John will handle 51. Ken and I got 52/54. You got 55. And then you've already
56,
handled the other,
58,
I got
and
57.
you have 57.
Okay,
We're good.
done,
we're done.
done.
So we'll just leave it to each of you all to handle,
Yeah.
so we don't have to funnel money through me.
A week before.
You know, roughly sometime next week,
Yeah.
early next week. Yeah.
For
Great
those-
idea.
I'm gonna pass this around again. So
What's that?
these are the season's greetings that we all signed. No, right here. He did it.
No, but these two.
No, they did it.
Oh,
They did.
excellent, okay.
If you're doing a station, take one. If you're
Oh,
doing two stations,
good,
take
okay,
two,
yeah.
whatever. With the card goes the thing,
Paper clip there.
paper clip it on,
Excellent, yeah.
whatever. And then I'll take the rest of them and the distribute.
Very much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And then
Chief
Phil,
Senate, you're smiling.
No, I'm just Very happy. Thank you very much for doing this.
Stick
We
to.
appreciate
us,
it.
if we can get
How many you guys
feedback.
working, 51?
Six total,
Six total.
BC, Medic and Ninja.
So how do we reach, like, how do I reach out to 52? How do I find someone's email? Because I don't want to just show up and you're out on a call.
No,
I can help you with that.
All right, I'll look it up. Okay, excellent.
Setting parameters on for one.
And then you and I'll email, you want to do it together, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We'll coordinate.
all right, and we are at, oh, we're doing okay on time,
Oh.
thank you. We're at, commission member reports, I'll hold mine for the end. David?
Okay, well, great to see some of our friends here from 2 weeks ago, but we had a great ride along, Commissioner Weathers and I think it was December 1st. And huge thank you to Chief Bernard and Captain Berkey and the rest of the crew for really showing us the most amazing hospitality, but more importantly,
The food.
just help, yeah, the food. I was gonna get there, but we learned so much. And it was just invaluable for us to have that time with you. And just to go around the station, got to go on one call, which was pretty exciting and didn't realize that. I think, Tom, maybe I was wearing the running shoes.
I wasn't
You weren't
fast enough to
because I
catch
didn't-
up with the battalion
That
chief.
90 seconds, what? Pretty amazing how,
God.
how quickly,
When you
yeah.
go down on a call, do you have to go down the stairs?
Either that or the fire pole.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
pole's there.
And how many flights of stairs do you have to go down?
I'm not counting.
Just-
3 flights.
That's what I thought, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's-
Well, we came in like right in the middle of dinner too.
Yeah,
It's always the
I know,
way.
yeah, we were sitting there and then
Always the way,
all of a
right?
sudden Chief Bernard was
Sit
gone.
down
I'm
on
like,
the table
can I
and
go?
make a call.
And I think Captain Berkey said, yeah, but you gotta go quick. So, yeah, that was great. I would love for us to think about doing this. I know we have quite a bit of a hiatus with COVID, but if the crews are okay with it, we'd love to do it. I think the chief at the last meeting suggested we go through the battalion chiefs to set things up. So, and I think we can only do 2 members of the commission at one time, otherwise we'll run afoul of Burn Act and those roles.
Right.
But, and then maybe we can move around to some of the different stations as
Sure.
well.
Sure.
And the benefit of being at 51 is you get to be with the battalion chief as well. But I think, like, I'd like to just see 51 because it's out there in the neighborhood that I live in. But I think it'd be great if all of us did that, as long as we don't become too much of an inconvenience.
My only caution would be that some of the stations will have limited seating, so trying to do 2 at a time, as far as actually being able to ride on.
Right.
Yeah.
So the advantage here is you have the battalion chief, have a medic. So we can do more.
Chief Bernard, Civic Center, is it a problem for, Ken and I had planned to do Civic Center together.
No, that would be perfect, because
Okay.
there's the option of putting one of you on the ambulance.
Good. And then maybe once, because there were so many different things that we talked about over the course of those, 5 hours or so. It'd be great, like if each of us does that, then we can probably have some conversations around some of those topics, because there were some really interesting things that we learned about just numbers of calls and the different types of calls. And then I saw something, and I know, I'll give it to you, Thomas, for next month's meeting, but there's an article in the IJ also just about one of the things that we talked about before. I think it was a couple of years ago, but the frequent flyers, or whatever the name is, for the repeat callers and some of the other resources that the city has to hopefully reduce some of those numbers. But I thought that might be a good topic for us to address at a future commission meeting, but probably after each of us have had some experience with the crews. would be a good
David,
idea.
can you share one thing you did learn?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, just the number of calls and the call volumes, how much they've gone up. How many are medical versus fire? How many are from the same people? I think we learned that you get to know those people pretty well. You know their birth dates, names, social security numbers, almost everything by heart, because you're calling on them almost every other day. And sometimes it might be somebody who just needs a place to stay that night, or, it's an unhoused person, or there are a lot of different variables for that, but that's pulling our crews away from other urgent needs potentially.
Absolutely.
And then, the other thing is when, I mean, it's perfectly logical and the folks on the commission have had a lot more experience, in the trenches than any of us have. Just when you send one unit out, then how do you cover? And especially if it's on some of these cases that maybe you're not as life-threatening, like critical as others may be. That was a real eye-opener for me, and I think for you too, Tom, and just something that maybe we as a commission can talk about in the future.
Thank you.
Cool. So that was the first thing.
Yeah,
And-
no, yeah,
And
go
you
ahead.
may.
I'll add on.
Yeah, please do. The other thing is, Phil on staff who I've been working with, one of the requests that she made quite some time ago, and I've been a little bit delinquent in not doing it, but the social media posts of the department, whether it's a variety of different handles on Twitter, Facebook, I think even Instagram and Nextdoor. One thing that we can do as a commission to help amplify that is to like it or repost. So Thomas, maybe one thing that we can do, if we can put in the minutes, the social media handles, because I'll tell you, the one for Nextdoor is really tricky to find. And I'm not sure why, but I had a hard time just using search to try and find it. I was pulling up Central Marin, Southern Marin, you know, all these other fire departments, but San Rafael didn't pop up. So if you could provide that link, that would be great. And then if we can all follow and then repost some of that information, I think that would be very helpful. And then, yeah, I mentioned about the article that we can talk about at the next one. The other one is just, and the chief's not here today, but a huge congratulations to the chief. I was reading the New York Times on, I think it was Thursday night, and I saw a really nice article about him and his personal story with his wife and getting married. And I don't think I'm oversharing because it was in the New York Times, so but I just, you know,
Well,
was
please
hoping-
share that if you, I didn't see that.
yeah, maybe we can share that with,
Yeah.
with the next one. Again, it kind of came after that cutoff time,
Okay.
getting articles in or, and not that we need to discuss it, or it's not
I'd love to
necessarily
do
business,
that.
but it was more, just
Public
congratulations.
Just email me the link offline.
Are we talking Chief White?
Yes.
Got an article in the New York Times.
Got married over Thanksgiving. Yeah, I mean, she said, baby, you can help us out a little bit more, but the story was got married over Thanksgiving
Right.
and to high school sweetheart, and but they hadn't seen each other for a while and had different lives, different families, and then met recently. Sweet, the rest is history. So yeah, it was very nice to see our chief's face. Nice photograph in the New York Times. It was very cool. Good.
Look forward to reading it. Ken,
I don't have anything, outstanding to share. I'm sorry, Stan.
Tom?
I'll just echo what David said, to right along. I've been on this mission for 10 years. That was by far the best thing I've ever done as part of this commission. It was a phenomenal experience. The food was excellent, but just the greatest people in the world, and just sitting there for 4 hours and talking was amazing. Learned lots of stuff. Lots of factual stuff that I hope you guys will learn. A couple of things I did learn that were a little troubling is one, the staff's turned over almost 50% in the last couple of years. And we're starting to lose senior personnel, say, engineers or captains are going to other departments for pay when you're part. It's kind of unheard of once you start moving up, you don't usually lateral. So I was very surprised at that. I was very surprised at the number of calls that have been happening. 10 years ago, roughly the same number of personnel, 65, 70 people. They have X number of calls. Here we are 10 years later, and those calls have now doubled or tripled. And I don't know the substance of those calls, if they're related to homeless issues or an aging population or what. But it was troubling to me as a commissioner that, wait, we have double or triple calls and we've got the same number of resources. So we're starting to stretch people thin. So I went to that boards and commissions dinner over at the Falkirk the other night. And I talked to 3 or 4 of the city council members for a good 15, 20 minutes each about those issues. And I raised the personnel issues, the turnover. I talked about the stretching of the resources. So I'm trying to at least get it on their radar that, hey, we have what I think is the best fire department in the United States. And I don't want to lose anyone working in this department, and I want to keep it the best department. What do we have to do that? And so, and I offer to help work with any of the city council members, or whatever we need to do to make that happen. So, hopefully I got that on their radar. They're gonna think about it, or at least start to maybe form a committee, commission, do something about it. But I think the more that you all do ride-alongs, and the more you all learn, then the more we can all communicate to the city council as a commission, hey, this is what we're seeing, this is what we're hearing. These are some issues you might want to address. So I was glad to do that, to talk to the city council. Of course, raved about the fire department and how wonderful everybody is. And so, and yeah, the ride-along experience was just phenomenal, just phenomenal. Granted, I didn't actually go out on a ride, but just talking with the guys, the camaraderie and the, you know, the support, it just, I'm always impressed with the firefighters when I meet them, but it's now at an extra level. I'm amazed at these people. So, yeah, if you can do it, I highly, highly recommend. So that's what I would piggyback on, is what David was saying.
Thank you.
That's all.
Don?
Don't stop at the ride-along. Keep interfacing with your fire department. I can't tell you the joy it gives me to go to the firehouse, visit with the crew. They're your people. Keep doing it. Don't just stop at the ride-along. When you go to take the gift certificate, stay and interact. Make it a point to see your firefighters on a regular basis. They don't know who we are, and you don't know them, but we all should know each other. And I think it's fabulous that you're promoting, we're staffed too thin, but you said we're starting to be. No, this has been going on for a long time, that the force has been extremely extended and overworked, and the burnout is unbelievable because of the OT. For example, at my firehouse, one of the captains is out for 6 months with an injury. So who's going to fill? The other two captains. That's an added stress in their life. You guys have a lot of stress as it is already. If we could beef up the force, that would be a huge win. So keep promoting.
John?
No, my apologies for being late. Lucky mistake, looked at the wrong time.
No worries.
You're here.
Quick question, chief. Are there BLS ambulances here in Centerville?
Oh, not in the fire department, we're all ALS based. We do run BLS, obviously,
Yeah.
if it's a BLS patient, we do all of our own transports here.
What's
in
that acronym?
Centerville.
So ALS, everybody's paramedic, so they can treat interventions, heart attack, cardiac. There's been experiments to minimize the tying up ALS companies to have an ambulance staff by two medics. We did that in the city. What it does, it doesn't tie up the engine. You have two EMTs on it going to person down to investigate, might be like based on criteria dispatch, the call taker.
Mhm.
But if the call taker, you say certain words, you get certain equipment.
Oh, interesting.
But you say, there's a homeless person, that, you know, he's just sitting on the sidewalk. I think he's okay, but somebody needs to check. Oftentimes you'll send a BLS ambulance, which is staffed by two EMTs. Make sure he's, and they can call for more resources. It doesn't tie up. I'm just curious. This is a long discussion.
Sure, I'm not sure what the chief has shared in past meetings. We are in the final stages of a comprehensive EMS study, looking to make whatever adjustments are necessary in order to make our EMS program as efficient as possible.
Okay.
Also, about 6 months ago, I believe the SAFE team was launched here, if you're familiar with that. That's a roving unit that's under the PD. They're not police officers per se, but they're specifically trained individuals who can provide assistance to those, usually they're those that are homeless, that need assistance that police and fire used to respond to, but now the SAFE team can actually step in and assist to provide them with some of the care and assistance they need to relieve us of those calls. So I think that's been a positive step in the direction of helping to relieve the burden. We do run about 20 EMS calls per day, most of which are ALS, but again, we do run BLS. You will see BLS ambulances in the county. They're doing private interfacility transports for the most part,
Sure.
taking somebody from a skilled nursing facility to the hospital or vice versa. But they're not actively involved in the 911 system here.
So what's the difference between ALS and BLS? I'm still not clear on what you guys are talking about.
Let me have Captain
Just the
Berkey
care-
explain.
Just the care level. So BLS ambulance would be 2 EMTs. And an EMT has a lower scope of practice than a paramedic. So all of our units are staffed in Sarafel with at least 1 firefighter paramedic. And our medic units all have 2 firefighter paramedics. And so those are all ALS units. And so it's just a higher level of care,
What does
So-
ALS stand for?
advanced life support.
Thank you.
Basic life support, advanced life support.
Basic.
And so the main difference is just the level of care. And
Got
so
it.
some agencies have tended to try to go down that route to lessen the workload on the ALS units and free them up for, a life-threatening call.
Thank you.
And also it's a cost thing. It's
Sure.
more expensive to have paramedics than it is EMTs.
We should be able to share the results of the EMS study probably in the next few months. Look forward to the recommendations.
I would imagine that over time, there'll be more street medicine resources going to the street medicine, what we call it
Yeah.
in the city, street medicine. Well, because you just put people down in Tenderloin,
Yep.
just check on people.
Yep.
And it's part social work, part
Sure.
EMS, anyways. I'm just curious, I'm sure that
Sure.
you've done a lot of studies and like.
Well, like I said, we're in the midst of a very comprehensive one at this time.
And Chief, can that be shared with us, with the?
Oh, yes, once it's been approved, yes, it'll become a public document and we'll be able to review it with you. Yeah. See a few months out, so.
Brian?
My job right now is just to, to listen.
All right.
And, it's very interesting. And
Hope it's going the right direction.
to be honest, the paramedic thing is kind of gone in a circle. Because we used to, do BLS, but we would contract with the private. It's kind of. But then we changed it and specifically designed it so that we would do BLS and.
Got it.
So that change occurred during my tenure.
What's old is new again.
Pardon?
Yeah, so there's no-
Well, that's just it. I keep hearing like the same issues with different people. It's like,
We're gonna take off. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. We appreciate your assistance.
If anytime, please.
Everybody, I'd just like to introduce Captain Bernard here.
Captain.
Or Battalion Chief Bernard, sorry.
Got the vote.
Yeah.
Good to see you guys.
He snuck in a few minutes ago.
I got tired of that. Good work, so.
He was the BC on duty when David and I did our ride along. That was, good to see you again.
Chief Leonard and I go back a long way. Yes.
Chief Waterbury was my first battalion chief.
We have two more things to attend to today. One a little bit by surprise, and I'll save that to the end. And the next would be the chief's report.
Sure. If I could also just backtrack back to item number 3, with your permission.
Yep. Oh, that's
This is on
right.
behalf
Sorry.
of
Hello.
Fire Chief White. I'm honored to present a certificate of appointment to Commissioner Ken Johnson, which is long overdue, and we apologize for that. But please accept this on our behalf.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, you were on the agenda earlier. It's all good.
It scared me because I thought I was gonna have to vote on something. I'm the second voter.
Might have just accidentally moved that camera, Thomas. I'm sorry.
You could.
It's all right. Okay, to go to item number 8.
Yes.
Okay. On behalf of Fire Chief White, who is absent today, I'm pleased to present the Fire Chief's monthly report. This was hastily prepared today. I apologize, but I tried to throw in as much information as I could for you. On page number 1, we enjoyed a promotional ceremony that was held at Station 52. Last Saturday, we promoted Captain Michael Lewis, Engineer Michael Lymouth, and Engineer Sam Akondo It was a very nice ceremony. The battalion chiefs, including Chief Bernard and Deputy Chief Roman, presided over it. And just very nice, and we're very proud of those individuals. The next item is a really significant announcement, and that's the delivery of 2 new ambulances. And I'd like to thank Chief Bernard, because basically he did all the planning, all the research, the ordering, and accepted the delivery of these 2 very impressive new ambulance units. These are Type 1 ambulances. It's the first time we've gone to a Type 1 ambulance. Type 1 basically means it's a much heavier duty ambulance. It's constructed on a Ford F-550 chassis with a very large engine. It will replace 2 of our medium duty van ambulances that you see, which are more common in the area. As mentioned before, we run about 20 calls per day, EMS calls. We run the wheels off the ambulances, literally. And to keep them on the road, Chief Bernard heads our automotive fleet. Just the maintenance and repairs alone are almost overwhelming. The threat of not having enough ambulances is constant, especially with the recent supply chain ordering problems. There's been a national lack of being able to order ambulance units. So this has been a problem that has been plaguing agencies, both public and private, nationally. Chief, what's the kind of the backlog time now in order to,
It's runs from anywhere from 1 year to 2 years, you know, to actually get them. These units are actually about 1 year overdue.
and the lifespan of an ambulance?
About 5 years.
Whoa.
So they don't last long.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we have, we're working on it.
What's that?
Start ordering now.
So Chief, what is the cost for one of these?
These units were $309,000.
390?
309. Unstocked. Unstocked, correct. And then stocked was double that, right? No, I mean, there's definitely some high price, EMS equipment thing. In there, the big one, the gurneys go in there.
Yeah, Chief, tell them the cost of a gurney.
Oh, I can't remember. Thomas could actually
Do you remember that, Thomas?
tell us what the price is, but it's part of that.
I wanna say
gurney
6,000?
system is built into the vehicle, so we actually spec it that way.
Yeah.
I think they're more than that.
But they're cool.
And
It's all motorized.
you can't repair
That's right. The gurney, you can buy a good used car for the cost of a new ambulance gurney.
them.
We did a demo of the.
And they're rated only
Did
for
you?
about 350 pounds, so anybody. Who weighs 700. Or
Yours is
Wait,
not?
how much?
700 pounds, so that's good.
Wow.
Quick question. New rigs, the overall width is the same as the old ones?
The ambulances?
Yes.
Okay. That's it. There may be some slight variations in the meters and everything else, but.
So Chief, are you saying 300, 309, but then he brought up, okay, stock, so what are we talking all in?
It would actually take me a while to actually figure that out.
I'm sorry,
A lot
I'm sorry, Chief.
of it depends upon where our monitors are in the replacement cycle. So the big ticket items are the gurneys, the stair chairs, the cardiac monitors, the CPR compression devices. And then there's a couple of other pieces of equipment that SCBA's.
450?
I would probably say close to 5.
So $1 million for 2 ambulances, it'll only go 5 years.
And then how much backup time do you get after they're retired from active after 5 years?
So, so then they'll potentially be in service for an additional 5 years after that.
Chief Senate, the floor is yours.
Thank you. The last element on page 1 is just a fire that we had at the Caltrans office on West Francisco Boulevard near the 580 interchange. Early morning fire. It's a double wide modular. It was in relatively poor condition. My opinion was the building had long exceeded its lifespan, but was still actively used. It was an electrical fault, HVAC related. Building basically, it didn't completely burn, but it was destroyed enough where it's a total loss. So that will have to be removed and replaced by Caltrans. They did a very good job of getting in there later that day and the following day to clean it up and button it up so that it's not a public nuisance or hazard. So
Was the panel just overloaded or was it like?
they had a separate panel.
Sub
Chief
panel?
Bernard, that was your fire, wasn't it? I'm trying to recall exactly what the,
So it was, it started a sub panel off the main. So then burned the wall.
Was it a Zinsco panel?
I'm sorry?
Zinsco, that company, Zinsco?
I'm not sure what brand.
Flipping over to page 2, under facilities. Station 54, we're anticipating occupancy on January 3rd. That's our latest target date. We believe that everything needed in order to occupy will be done the week prior to Christmas holiday. So we hope to occupy, get everything back to normal on January 3rd. That will enable us to take the truck company that's currently doubled up at Station 52 to put them back at Station 54. Put the ambulance that is here currently back to its location at Station 52 and give the battalion chief their office and dorm back here at this station. So looking forward to that. It's about a year late. We should have been in there almost a year ago now. So hey, I'm looking forward to just getting this wrapped up. It's been a long road. The next item is just giving you a brief staffing update, just a quick glimpse into the department. We're presently down 6 firefighter positions. We talked about that earlier. Retirements, people moving on to other agencies that might be closer to home. One of the big challenges here in Marin is applicants now generally live well outside the area. It's not like the days when Brian and I or even Chief Bernard joined the fire service where you kind of grew up in the town that you now work in. That's just not the case anymore because they can't afford to live here, right? So they live in Vacaville, Fairfield, Santa Rosa, and even farther away than that. So it's hard to attract applicants here, or sometimes once they get hired and they're here for a year or two, they find a job closer to home and they relocate to another fire agency. That used to be very uncommon. It's become more common now. There's just been really kind of a change in the culture. It used to be very common in the police department to laterally transfer. Used to be common, even younger in my career. Not so in the fire department. Now it's becoming much more common in the fire department. So we're constantly chasing and trying to fill these vacancies. So, and we found, unfortunately, that there just isn't the applicant pool that we used to see. Years ago, where you'd have one opening and 100 applications. People just don't seem to be interested in law enforcement or fire service careers like they used to be, and we're hoping that's just kind of a temporary trend that will reverse. So there's just all sorts of factors working against us right now. Marinwood, a very small agency, one station, pay very low compared to other agencies here in Marin. They've had 2 vacancies now,
Yeah, they have 2 vacancies now.
and they can't, nobody even applies. Nobody even applies.
And Chief, are the vacancies covered temporarily just through
Oh, yeah.
OT?
Over
And
time,
that's-
yeah.
Chief,
So-
what I'm hearing is Sandersville Fire is the training ground, that we have the cost of training a firefighter and then we lose them. And do we have any grip on what the outlay of the cost to get somebody dialed in?
Well, you can quantify it. I'm sure Thomas probably could for us.
For 10-week academy, it's about $30,000 to $35,000 just in salary for that individual and their equipment and stuff like that. So just putting them through a 10-week academy is, about $30,000 to $40,000, not even including overhead. But that's a little bit fixed if you already have their individuals in the academy.
Something that we're seeing now, many agencies are offering hiring bonuses. You apply to an agency, you get hired, you get a bonus up to $50,000. Things that just
Like
were not.
baseball players.
Never heard of that.
Never heard of that before. So it's become very competitive, and now we're seeing agencies trying to pick employees out of other agencies. Hey, why don't you come work for us? We've got this benefit package that might be a little bit more attractive than the one you have now, things like that. So It's become a real challenge. Fortunately, here in San Rafael, yeah, the size of the agency provides a lot of challenges, a lot of not only upward opportunities, but special divisions such as our fireboat, things like that, that interest especially young firefighters. So we have a lot of things to offer here that some other agencies might not. So,
Are our salaries competitive?
They are middle of the pack,
yeah,
that's what I was told.
So just hypothetically, if we did increase our base salary, would we be more competitive in the marketplace?
well, that would always help, sure. Although I'm stepping way out on a limb here, I probably should not be talking on camera. Anyhow, moving along, because I don't want to spend a lot of time here. We presently have no office admins. We've been functioning with no office administrative positions for the last few months. We anticipate filling one here in the next few weeks. It'll take several weeks, up to several months to get that person trained up to where they need to be. So that's also been a challenge for us. This is a very large fire agency with a lot going on, and to have no office admin support, you can imagine. So we're all doing it. So the Fire Prevention Division functions on two part-time inspectors. They're both retired Alameda County. One's a retired Alameda County fire captain. The other one's an Alameda County division chief retired. They both have prevention experience. So they both work 20 hours a week. So we're able to fill one position with these two part-timers. But again, the size of the city, you can see we could use a much larger fire prevention staff as well. The Operations Division, the first item to report on is the new County Regional Fire Dispatch Center set to launch on July 1st, 2024. I gave you some bullet points on that there that you can review. Chief Roman, who is in charge of the Operations Division, reports that we've been rotating crews to the East Bay for multi-county high-rise truck training over the past several weeks, and that will continue. Chief Roman also reports that there's been several critical ALS calls where our crews have performed admirably. He says several saves of cardiac and stroke patients. And then as requested, Thomas provided us with some stats there for November.
799 calls.
And then the training division, which is headed up by Training Officer Captain Ryan Goodwin. He provided some information on a new narcotics program that's currently being rolled out. Very sophisticated, very high-end, very robust. The most important thing is it tracks medications, what he calls from cradle to grave. So there's much less opportunity to lose track of drugs, which is like, you can't do that, right? But it happens. And if you don't have a very sophisticated, robust system in place, you lose morphine. Where'd it go? How do you account for that? Becomes a big problem. So this new system is designed to really almost eliminate that problem. So very pleased about that.
Can I ask about the
Yeah.
hazmat calls? What are those like?
Well, they could be anything minor from spilled paint,
Okay,
right?
okay, yeah.
And most
yeah,
of them are.
Upset and overturned
I
stuff.
don't think we've had any major hazmat calls this last month, have we?
No, not that I can recall.
So,
Actually, most of the fuel still.
fuel spills.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
And what falls under that other category?
Oh, it could be just any sort of a public assistant, helping somebody off the floor who's fallen out of bed, somebody who's locked out of their house, any type of non-emergency support, which, you call 911, we're gonna come out and help you with whatever the problem is. But a lot of times it's just not an emergency,
Yeah,
but
but if somebody gets locked out of their house and they call 911, we have to send somebody there?
we do if we can. We do if we can, and especially if there's like, the stove is on or something like that, then it definitely is something we're gonna respond to, but we're gonna provide any kind of non-emergency assistance that we possibly can, if we're able to.
Okay.
So. But a lot of calls are without lights and siren that we go on. Yeah. On the next page is just a summary of the Fire Prevention Division, the types of inspections we do, the numbers of inspections we've done so far to date. As you'll see, we do a lot of inspections. some of which are listed here. Annually, we have to inspect, and this is, as per Senate Bill 1205, we have to inspect all apartments with 3 or more units. This is a mandate for all fire agencies in California. So in San Rafael, we have 542 properties that fall into that category. So they have to be inspected annually. So that's 542 inspections just for apartments, but many times you have to go back once or twice on re-inspections in order to gain compliance. So you can see the number of inspections for apartments can be 1,000 or more easy every year. Hotels, motels, and lodging houses, we have 11 properties meeting that definition that have to be inspected as per the mandate. Schools, hospitals, institutional facilities. Then we also inspect yacht harbors annually because of the fire risk potential of boats. And also the clubhouses, the meeting facilities that many of these yacht harbors have. So we get in there annually places of religious worship. And then high-risk occupancies that we feel need to be inspected annually. We also do all city facilities, including Falkirk Mansion, annually.
Chief Senate, I don't
Yes.
see restaurants at all on here.
It just depends. What we're doing now is we're creating this new block inspection program in 2024, where we'll actually do like an entire section of downtown, which will then include restaurants, and anything else within that block, any kind of a shop, any kind of retail, automotive repair, place of public assembly. But a lot of the focus inspections are places of public assembly, which include larger restaurants that have an occupant load over 50.
So smaller restaurants, we no longer inspect,
Oh, we inspect them. We
Okay.
do, but just on a less frequent cycle.
less than annually?
Yeah.
Got
But
it.
again, you have to remember, we've got 2 part-time inspectors.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the entire
No,
bureau.
I know, I was just curious.
So there are buildings that don't get inspected.
Very
much at all. Yeah.
And those 2 part-time inspectors are doing everything.
Yeah, the engine companies do a great job of assisting with the apartment inspections.
Okay,
Without them, we would not be able to fill the mandate.
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, so the engine companies really kind of focus on the apartments for us.
Question, Chief, are you seeing a lot of illegal units, illegal housing? Right, when I was working in Outer Mission, you have a laundromat with 50 occupants in horrible housing because of housing shortage and due to socioeconomic
Yeah.
reasons. Are you running into that as well?
You know what, we're aware, we know that many of our light industrial facilities in the canal, in East San Rafael, also in the Northgate industrial area, you'll see like a warehouse facility. We know we've got people living in those, like in storage facilities, and occasionally we come across that.
Mhm.
But it's not anything that, you just can't get inside every like storage facility unit in every complex in San Rafael. They're locked.
Right.
The managers don't have access to them
Right.
oftentimes, and, but yes, that
I
is,
wasn't concerned about the enforcement. It's
Yeah.
just like, I just wanted to bring the commission aware that there's
Oh,
life
sure.
safety hazards
oh, yeah.
that
Yeah,
all the time that you probably would never think of.
And one of the biggest challenges we have, and where we've had the most fires in the past 2 years, apartment units that have 12 to 15 people living in a 1-bedroom or that's where we're having some of the difficulties.
Yeah.
So,
I think they call that high density housing.
we issued 167 fire prevention permits to date. You can see the revenue that we've generated from that. We also do a fire prevention review of all building permits, and we generate revenue from that, as you can see. And then we also do all of the fire prevention for Marinwood as well. And we issue fire sprinkler, fire alarm permits, and we also, because that's an unincorporated area, we have to inspect all new solar installations, solar panels, batteries, backup generators. The county requires that the local fire agency conduct those inspections, so that increases our inspection load as well. Giving you a summary of the wildfire division. They've done a lot of great work. We talked about that a little while ago. Gives you kind of a summary to date of all of their progress. And then on the last page, just a quick bullet point summary of the OES Disaster Preparedness Division activities, over the past month. And that's the report.
Thank you, sir.
Great
Uh,
report.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's chief.
Thank you.
One quick silly question. I just paid a fee to the police department for my alarm system. Is that a shared?
No, that's for your burglar alarm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so they
It's the
have
same- it's the
fees.
same company, the same alarm, the same equipment for the fire side.
No, there's no fire permit for that or fee. Unless you'd like to pay one.
I was gonna say.
No,
but now-
Now that you mentioned it.
Yeah, right, okay, I just. We have one last thing to do before we call it quits for the day. And as you know, I just love board commission committee rules and regulations and what have you. So we will cut the chase really fast. Chapter 2. Chapter 2, section 7, subparagraph C. This is the December meeting, according to the rules that are now in place for the city of San Rafael. All committees, boards, and commissions that have leadership positions, chair and vice chair and what have you, all change this January 1st. So all things being equal, if this were equal, you would get a new chairperson in January and a new vice chair. Although in my reading, I came up with the following, and collectively, excluding you and excluding me, they have a decision to make. The chair and the vice chair may not succeed themselves in the same position. However, in the event the current chair or vice chair has served less than 1 year, the BCC may choose to re-elect them for an additional term.
You want to be chair?
Pardon
I move by
me?
acclamation.
You have it, now you have a choice.
Are you saying every year it has
Every
to turn over
year.
and it has to be somebody different?
Every year,
So Larry Leckham was the chair for a very.
every year. Larry Leckham
Steve
didn't have
Westbrook.
those rules.
8 years, I've been on this thing 10
So
years. and Steve
Can
was the
we,
chair for
can
8.
we like do away with that and pretend like you didn't read
Yeah.
it?
You can call the city clerk.
Because he's been less than a year, we can just read it.
I know, but that means in a year we have to do this
Oh,
again.
but see, I get off in October. That won't be my problem.
All right, so
I move to reappoint the chair and the vice chair in the same position.
I cannot participate in this, nor can he. So somebody,
Do
I
either-
second that.
you can,
All in favor, any discussion? Nope,
Are we, we're not the
Oh.
chief and I are non-voting?
you're voting. All in favor?
I,
Affirmed. You're the chair, you're the vice chair. Congratulations.
Dodge that bullet.
Yeah.
Do it like, yeah, I've seen it done that way.
yeah.
does everybody have the signed,
Yeah, I've got two, for
readings
Ken and I.
for stations they're going to it?
Yep.
Okay.
Can I make one brief comment? I'm sorry about the new ambulances, and I didn't mean to put that spot. I asked the chief if they were wider. The new emissions for all these new rigs make them bigger and wider. That's why our rigs don't fit in the firehouse. So when you get into these narrow streets up in San Rafael Hill, because of the emissions, the rigs have to be wider, and eventually, if they keep in the current trend, they're gonna get wider and wider, and we're not gonna be able to get to places. That was.
Yeah, that's why they cost so much. We're buying the thin ones.
So that's why you see sprinters and these other.
I can give you a lot more detail.
Yeah, but I just wanted to comment on that.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I asked that.
With no further business in front of the commission for the month of December, this meeting is adjourned.
Yay.
Oh.